Welcome back to another empowering episode of the Pauline Chilton Show, where we talk real estate, entrepreneurship, and stepping fully into the life you were meant to lead. Today's guest is someone who is passionate about helping women break through their limitations and step into their power. Not just in business, but in every area of life. I'm so excited to welcome Linda Brand, a women's empowerment coach, spiritual mindset coach, and licensed realtor who has helped countless women awaken their inner strength and align their lives with purpose. Certified as a dream builder coach through the Brave Thinking Institute, Linda's work goes beyond surface level motivation. She helps women discover their authentic selves, build unshakable confidence, and create deeply meaningful transformation in both life and mindset. Whether you're feeling stuck, striving for more, or simply ready to connect with who you truly are, Linda's guidance is all about turning intention into aligned action. Let's dive into this powerful conversation with Linda Brand. Linda, it's so great to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
Thank you too. Let's start with your journey. What led you to become a women's empowerment coach and dream builder? And how has your experience in real estate influenced the way you guide and empower women today?
Great questions. So, I have a long story of challenges that I overcame, and I kind of fell into the real estate business in 1992. I got my broker's license in 1995. I was living in Michigan, and my son was born in 98, and real estate's a challenging business, and I kind of grew up in a house with a little bit of negativity and criticism and judgment and fear and ego and all the things. And so I knew I had to work on my mindset. All the years in real estate, I was listening to Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy, for 20 plus years before I even learned about so many things that I know today about healing and growth. And then in 2017, hired my first coach, expensive coach. She wasn't a real estate coach. She was like an empowerment coach. And I started hiring coaches, and I just went down that giant rabbit hole of self-development, growing, healing, evolving, becoming a better version of myself. And in 2021, I went to Miami to see Gina DeVee at a workshop. She's an author who wrote the book, The Audacity to Be Queen, and she's a coach, also women empowerment. And I was at that workshop in the final night. First of all, everybody was a coach there. I was in real estate, and I'm like, she's a coach, she's a coach. Like, why am I not coaching? I've been doing all this work. I help my friends, and I was struggling in my real estate business at the time and in a lot of debt. And I thought, why am I not doing coaching if all these other people are? So on the spot, I hired a coach to help me build the business. But the final night of this workshop, I'm washing my hands in this Italian restaurant in the hotel. And I get this like strong divine message. You belong here. You belong in Florida. You belong in Florida. I was living in Michigan my whole life. And it's a whole long story, but to keep it short for the podcast, I basically decided to sell my home and relocate across the country with my dog because my son was graduating college and moving on and doing different things. And so everything lined up for me and supported me. So that's how I got into the coaching. And then I moved to Florida in April of 2022. And I know you're in Florida as well. And started the coaching, which, any entrepreneurial journey is a self-discovery journey. Because if you're trying to do this and coach others, like imposter syndrome, and this shows up and that shows up. And, it was similar to real estate because you had to pay for all these things also, and you have to put yourself out there in social media. And, there's all kinds of things that come up. So I had more healing to do. And I've literally been healing for 3 years. And I just co-authored this book, Dare to Care 2, Wellness Warrior Share Stories of Healing, Growth, and Empowerment. And I have a chapter in there. But anyway, so I started the podcast, which I had no idea I was going to do. So it's funny because if I didn't move to Florida, I probably would have never started the podcast or the coaching. But, and then you asked about real estate, how it impacts. It doesn't really impact too much my coaching, other than I think that when you are authentic and you truly do what your passion and your desires are, you never work a day in your life. Like, and with real estate, I always had, I mean, when I had clients, I did a great job. I have excellent reviews, but it was not like, I don't know, it's not my passion work, to be truthful. I'm licensed in Florida as well, and I do serve Florida and help people. It's just I'm more passionate about teaching and coaching and podcast.
That's so amazing. And you help women discover their authentic selves and build confidence. What does that really mean in today's noisy world? How do you help clients overcome their self-doubt and limiting beliefs that often hold them back? I mean, you just mentioned the imposter syndrome, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And so, for those who that resonates with, go ahead and explain a little bit more about that.
Sure. So the authentic is okay. So from 0 to 7, we're sponges and recorders, and we're taking on the energies and the beliefs of the people around us. We're being programmed. We're being programmed as children to do what, be a good girl. No, that's not appropriate. All these different things. And ultimately, we lose who we were as, a child. So I like to first look for what their dream is, what their desires are, what their joy, what brings them joy. And it's like sometimes people don't even know what brings them joy. So you have to go back to when you were in second grade, what did you want to do? Or when you were 5, what did you love, right? So it's going back and it's unlearning all of the programs and allowing yourself to take care of yourself. Prioritizing self-care is gigantic. Loving yourself, learning to love yourself is a gigantic piece of my coaching. Self-worth and self-love are really tied together. And we always teach what we need, because I had very low self-worth and low self-esteem when I was younger. And so that's been a journey as well. But it all starts there, because if you have, most people, like they've come on my podcast or whatever, they've checked all the boxes. Well, I was told to go to college and get the degree. I was told to get this, get married, have kid, the dog, the fence, all the things. And then they find themselves unhappy or unfulfilled. And so that's when they start, okay, what do I need to do to feel better? And that's when, gratitude and all the different things, the spiritual mindset coaching comes in, because a lot of us are doing things we don't even enjoy. So that's the authentic self piece. And then it's just, you get to a point where you're not going to, a lot of us are people pleasers. Me, myself, also, I've overcome people pleasing. It's a trauma response. And, people pleasing it's a thing a lot of women are programmed to serve everybody else. Everybody else has to be taken care of, the kids, the husband, the whatever, and you're last. And it's really sad, because it should be the opposite, because we have to fill our own cups first. I know it's like cliche, or we all say it, but truly, you want to give from the overflow. You want to give from the overflow, because that's when you're the best mom and you're the best wife and you're the best employer, employee, when you feel good, right? So that's a lot of my coaching too. And, it's like just reframing so many things that you were taught. And it's like instilled in women, right? To serve everybody. And even in the churches, they teach give and, be selfless and all these things. And it's really not selfish when you take care of you, because you can be better for others when you take care of you first. So that's a big piece.
Exactly. You need to breathe the oxygen first, right? You
Yeah.
need to put the oxygen mask on your face first before you can help the next person to breathe. So, absolutely.
And everything's a practice. I practice self-love. It's not like, I mean, if we have 50 years of a program and then, or a way of living or a way of being hard on yourself, right? We have an inner critic, most of us, that loves to tell us, different things. And so, self-talk is one of the giant things that you have to notice when you're on this journey to learn to love yourself, is like notice the inner mean girl, right? And so, anyway, so there's a lot here, but ultimately, self-love is a gigantic piece, and it's a practice like meditation or going to the gym. You're not doing it once and you're done, right? We have to
Right.
keep doing it. So that's the thing. And that's where coaching is so helpful, because you have someone to be accountable to and to get that support from.
Spiritual mindset coaching is a big part of what you do as well. How does it differ from traditional personal development, and how can it be a catalyst for real, lasting transformation?
Well, everything's energy. We live in a vibrational universe, and we're mostly made up of energy. We're energetic spiritual beings having a human experience. So it's like there's just so much. I've been studying A Course in Miracles. I've been studying the universal laws for a very long time. But because of the programming, what we need to do is rewire the subconscious. And the subconscious, I'm still rewiring my subconscious, but everything's energy. So if you are not feeling good about you, and that was a program like worthiness, you're not going to be showing up on social and doing all these things, right? So it's
Right.
taking one, so you were talking about confidence too. It's taking actions, having courage, and moving through. Everyone has fear. It's normal to have fear. We're humans, but it's just taking an action and moving past and moving through. Spiritual aligned actions towards your goals. You know what I mean? So inspired action. And that's how you get one step at a time. You have a vision for your life. It's what do you want? That's number one, is getting crystal clear. Self-awareness is also number one, because if you're not aware that you have these challenges or these negative beliefs about yourself or limiting beliefs, or you were taught that you could never make a lot of money. You had to find a man to help you. You know what I mean? Like, or you had to go to college and become this or that to make a lot of money. So it's a lot of that, but yeah, that's what spiritual mindset coaching is becoming the observer of your life, noticing your inner self-talk, desire. What do you want? Like, God wants his children happy. Like, we're supposed to be happy. We're here for joy. We're not here to suffer and struggle. And a lot of people who have that, who are suffering or struggling, they're choosing it. We choose it. Because we control this. We're not our bodies. We're not our minds. We're spiritual, energetic beings having a human experience. So it's about noticing. It's a lot about becoming the observer. And that's what meditation is. You start, oh, I'm thinking of that. Oh, I'm thinking of that. Like, who's thinking this, right? So that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so going a little bit more into that, how can people make sure that they are truly aligned with their purpose and not just doing things based on what others expect of them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, it's really just knowing what do you want. I mean, some people went their entire lives serving everybody else that they literally don't even know what they like to eat. They don't even know what I mean, I was like that because they were always accommodating others, and like they don't even know what they like. So it's really going back and figuring out what you want, what feels good to you, and start giving yourself what you want and seeing what feels good, like, and it can change, right? Like, I could say, you know what, my desire is to serve and support hundreds of thousands of people and be my own version of Gabby Bernstein and have books and, speak on stages and, do all these things, have, serve and support through podcasting, coaching, courses, books. and then like next week, I could say, you know what, I'm going to start a nonprofit for children and animals. And, I mean, who knows? We can change. But I know I want to travel. I know that, so it's getting clear on what do you want and not what other people want for you, what you want, you know?
Yeah, and you've had a chance to witness some powerful client transformations. Is there one story that stands out to you that you'd like to share? Like one piece of advice you'd offer to a listener who's ready to start living in alignment with their true purpose and, share a story that would inspire that person?
Yeah. I had a client who was working a 9 to 5 and she had a desire to become an entrepreneur. She had a desire to start a podcast. I was also coaching podcasting and I still do coach podcasting, podcast booking. I have a lot of, I'm a multifaceted human. And basically she hired me and we worked together for 12 weeks and she set intentions and she took actions and she started her own, not real estate, but like the notary signing business. So she went through all of that and then she cut back on her day job and she started setting boundaries with others who were always pulling at her constantly. She was one of those people pleasers, let's make everybody happy. And so she was protecting her energy more. And she definitely is happier and healthier mentally, physically and emotionally. And she's happier because she is, more free and she's building, you know, her business. And that's I've been a big part of her. Also, she started a podcast and I helped her get some guests on the show. And so that was gigantic, a wish for her. Like she talked about starting a YouTube or something and she never did it. And then she did do it with me. So
That's good. It's so doesn't it feel good to help people achieve a goal or reach
absolutely.
something that they were trying to get to?
Oh, absolutely. And, it's like once you have the podcast, it's like it's incredible. When you now you can say, I have a podcast. We're like, what? You have a podcast? I was substitute teaching because I love kids. And these kids, like I said, they were like, what? You have a podcast? And he Googled me and the one goes, man, she's famous. And I was like, it just felt so good. It felt good. And then the other kid's like, are you sure you're not in real estate? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in real estate too.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your book. You co-authored Dare to Care 2, a,
Yes.
a book about healing, growth, and empowerment.
Yes.
What drew you to this project, and what does being part of it mean to you personally?
Oh, it means so much because I started writing a book. I haven't finished it. And I started that book way before I was invited into this collaboration. And it was very powerful writing this chapter and getting it on paper. And I love it so much. A friend of mine, Michelle, the author, the main author, her and her husband invited me into the collaboration. She's a nurse, and her first version, Dare to Care 1, is all medical personnel, like, healers, doctors, nurses. And so the second one is kind of wellness warriors, share stories of healing, growth, and empowerment. So my chapter is healing, growth, and empowerment, chapter 16. And I share, a condensed version of my life and the things I overcame and how I overcame it. And then I talk about EFT tapping, which is something that I've used. Have you heard of emotional freedom technique, EFT?
No, go ahead and explain what that's all about.
Sure. So, some people will say that the body is the subconscious mind. But what EFT, also known as tapping, is you're tapping on the meridian points, kind of like acupuncture. And it is I have to look in my book how to like literally describe what it is, but it basically it helps you when there is an issue, like say it's imposter syndrome, you tap on what it is, you bring attention to what is bothering you, and then after that you speak affirmations, first you're accepting it and then you're changing it. You're changing it. Like I'm beginning to love myself, but it's mostly even though I feel this way, I deeply and completely love, forgive, and accept myself. So that's the rewire, right? And it's free and you can do it like anytime for 5 minutes, and it really, really has a powerful, result. It's helped me immensely, and it's a lot of post-trauma people, I think that's when it was developed, was the like the war guys or something.
Oh,
But
yeah. So military veterans, they
yeah,
suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome. And it's not only veterans, it could be people who have experienced something traumatic in their lives and they will have some PTSD.
yeah.
So that's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard of that, but that sounds like an amazing technique.
Yes, EFT, it's wonderful. I've taken a class. I've never been certified, but I don't know that I will, but we'll see.
So when you were writing your chapter, were there any emotional moments or surprises that came up as you reflected on your journey?
I will say it's therapeutic to write it down. And it's when I started writing about, like, my podcast is called Abandoned to Abundant, and it used to be called Empowered. But when I started doing this, all of the work here in Florida, I realized I was abandoned way before. Like, 'cause I don't have a relationship with my mother. My earliest childhood memory, when I was 4, I was attacked by a cat. My other childhood memory, I was locked out of the house in the pouring rain at 5 years old, screaming and crying. So it's like interesting when you start looking back. You're like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, that's trauma for a
Mm-hmm.
5-year-old girl to be, and then the 4-year-old girl being attacked, like out in the
Mm-hmm.
street. Like, what was I doing? So it's interesting. You just start to learn more when you start digging and, writing it down. So I overcame a lot. And I guess my astrologer would say I'm the wounded warrior.
Yeah, so what messages were you most passionate about sharing with your readers in that chapter?
Overcome that we're resilient and that you can overcome things, and that I overcame a debilitating illness. We didn't mention that in 2011 and 2012 I was misdiagnosed by 3 or 4 doctors. I was a single mother, and I had to be my own advocate. I took myself to a rheumatologist, finally got the diagnosis. That was another nightmare situation. I thought I would, it's a whole story, but it's condensed version is in the book. And that was a gigantic thing because at the end of the day, even though it took me down physically, financially, and mentally, it also taught me how to take care of myself. And it was actually, I think, the catalyst to my spiritual awakening, actually, when I look back. That's
Wow.
yeah, the underlying blessing.
Wow. So this book brings together many voices. What do you think is the most impactful of the storytelling, especially for women who are navigating healing and transformation?
Keep going. And if it's dark, the light comes. If you're having a challenge and suffering, like it's can only go better from here. It can only get better from here. And everything's temporary. Everything's temporary. I also believe in living in the present moment. I always try to come back to the present moment. I believe in gratitude. I started a gratitude practice. That's in the book from when I, was sick. I had to fight that debilitating illness. It was Lyme disease. I had to fight that with medicinal, herbal. I cut alcohol for 2.5 years. I started lighting Shabbat candles every Friday night, and I still light them today in the gratitude practice. Yeah. And, we're resilient and women are strong and powerful, and we're all powerful. And men are, we're all powerful. And I think we're all part of the one. We're part of God. So respect yourself, love yourself, and know that you're worthy just for being alive and breathing. I think we all have to forgive ourselves for so many things and stop carrying shame. I realized I was carrying shame for so long, for so many things from my past. And that is the lowest vibration on the scale, right? On the Abraham Hicks scale. And so if you're trying to raise your vibration and feel good and attract all these great things into your life, but you're carrying shame, or you don't love yourself and you don't think you're worthy, it's not happening.
How do you want this book to help you expand your mission as a coach? And how can listeners use this book as a tool for their own growth and empowerment?
Well, there's multiple chapters in the book from other authors, but I think being a published author is it's almost like a podcast. The podcast in itself is, it shows that you are like an expert. And so, as far as the book, it feels good to be a published author, and I think it's the first of many because I'm planning to write I'm still writing my other book, and it just shows that you can be, do, and have anything you desire. We just have to focus and have a vision and take the inspired actions, and anybody can do it. Like, your past does not identify you. Your past is gone, and forgive yourself, feel your feelings, move forward. A lot of us, we're addicted to suffering. We're always, we're it's feeling good that we're resisting. Like, we don't allow ourselves to feel good.
Yeah.
Like,
And so, exactly. Let's talk a little bit more about your podcast. Your podcast, Abandoned to Abundant, such a powerful title. What inspired you to start it? And what kinds of transformational stories and themes do you explore on your show?
oh wow. Yeah, I love the podcast. I was on the fence about taking Kathy Heller's course, and I did her workshop, and this is in 2022, and it just felt worse to not do the class, so I did it. I wasn't seeking a podcast. I had no idea I would be doing a podcast. And I took her class because she's like an empowerment coach, and she teaches podcasting and has an incredible podcast. And so that's it. I was on the fence. Should I, shouldn't I? And I'm like, well, if you do nothing, nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I'm like, I'm doing it. Took the class, started the podcast. It was called Empowered originally. Stories. Oh my gosh. I have a guy who was told he had a month to live. It's called Living Past Your Expiration Date. And it's 4 years later now. And he tells his story. He had cancer and how he healed and all that. I have coaches, authors, healers. I have a dating coach. I have Sherry Anna Boyle. I had Tracy Litt. I had a shaman, the royal shaman. A lot of, spiritual health and wellness, two fruitarians, the raw coconut girl. I just love anything health and wellness because of my, situation. I love spiritual stuff, law of attraction. Eric Bigger, he was on The Bachelorette. He was on the show, came to LA with $1,000 in his pocket. He was praying since he was 15. He's an author, a coach, personal trainer, and he was on The Bachelorette. So he's, also an actor. And we had the best talk for 2 episodes. But yeah, I just love anything self-improvement, and I'm just addicted to that. Like, I'm a spirit junkie. Like, I love anything universal laws and energy and all the things. So yeah, there's so many episodes. There's 3 seasons and tons of good stuff on there. I had a girl who grew up and her parents were addicts, and she was in and out of foster care, and her stepdad burned their house down, and she just had trauma, trauma, trauma. And now she's a healer, and she's, went through yoga training, and she's transformed completely. She loves herself now. She was suicidal, all the things. So, I mean, so many episodes. But Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love doing the podcast, and I'll probably have you on, Pauline.
Oh, that would
Um,
be great.
it would be fun. And yeah, it's fun. And I'm good at it. you know what I mean? I barely prepare, and it's just incredible. Yeah.
So, what do you hope listeners walk away with after tuning into your show?
I hope that they are inspired and they are motivated and they are feeling better and like empowered, like really knowing that they're worthy just for breathing and that they can have be and do anything. We create our realities, and to stop identifying themselves with, you know, negative programs, like, and that they can do what they want. We don't have to please others, we're here for one time, I think. I don't know how it works, but like we have one life. Like, let's enjoy it and let's do what feels good for us.
I love that. Linda, this has been so powerful. For anyone who's feeling inspired and wants to connect with you or learn more about your coaching programs, where's the best place for them to find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Linda Brand Coach and Abandoned to Abundant, and they can go to my website, lindabrandcoach.com, and that would be amazing. I have a freebie, a self-love freebie. It's powerful 3-page PDF with some amazing tools and techniques. Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Pauline Chilton Show. I hope you found it as inspiring and insightful as I did. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more amazing listeners like you and keep us going strong with powerful content, inspiring guests, and real conversations that help you grow in business and in life. Be sure to follow us on social media for behind the scenes content and episodes, and head over to thepaulineshow.com to support the show, grab some merch, and stay connected. Thanks again for being part of this journey, and we'll see you next time on The Pauline Chilton Show.
Thank you for having me.